Hey you! Yeah, you! Do you like Apex Legends? But kinda wish you could play Team Deathmatch like Call of Duty or Battlefield. How about we also throw in some giant mechs and the ability to wall run and double jump? Well, if that sounds like your kind of game, I may have the thing for you. Titanfall 2, developed by Respawn Entertainment and just released on Steam 3-4 years after it was originally released. Well, seeing that on Steam made me think about wanting to play it again, and that is what made me wonder, is it worth it? Well, short answer, yes. Long answer, stick around to the end of this video and watch the whole thing, and then you find out. Cool, let's go. Titanfall 2 is one of those rare first-person shooters nowadays that has a proper campaign, and it's a really, really good one at that. And the best part is that you don't need to have played the first to understand what's happening in the second. It starts out with a cutscene that looks like it could be out of a movie with real actors mixed with a load of CGI, and it shows off the power of these elite fighters called pilots, all voiced over by Cooper, a foot soldier grunt who we will be playing as, and who aspires to one day be a pilot. We start the game proper by playing in a pilot training simulation guided by Captain Lastimosa, a pilot that sees some potential in us. And he shows us what it's like to be a pilot, to be able to double jump and wall run through an assault course. And while we're going through this tutorial, something happens that's really out of place for a first-person shooter campaign. We get to choose what to say next. It may seem small, but having the choice of what to say in the middle of combat or while you're out exploring is such a nice addition. It just adds a little bit of agency to something that's otherwise sort of a linear story. At the end of the tutorial, we meet Captain Lastimosa's Titan, BT, and are about to call in our own when the tutorial freezes and we're kicked out of the simulation. We are then sent out onto the battlefield to fight as a grunt, as a foot soldier, as a rifleman, on the front line against the IMC. This works really well as a contrast against what you could do as a pilot in the training simulation versus what Cooper actually is. Then we encounter our first enemy Titan, who absolutely destroys the troops that we are fighting alongside. And just as we're about to be stepped on by said enemy Titan, we get saved by a friendly face. BT and Captain Lastimosa come in and deal with this enemy Titan before Lastimosa jumps out of BT and hides our crippled body and heals our wounds before hopping back into BT. Suddenly, a few more Titans come to try and take him on. BT and Lastimosa take one out in a badass way, but get backstabbed by a phase Titan as we begin to pass out. We regain consciousness and are introduced to the main villains of the game, the pilots of the IMC and the Apex Predators. These guys are out with their Titans exploring the dead bodies to make sure that their job's done, and as they leave, Cooper passes out again, waking up to find strange beasts looking to eat him. And with a whir, the dormant BT wakes and fires the Titan weaponry at these beasts, making them flee. We get up and rush over to BT to see that Lastimosa is just about still alive, and he gives us a rapid but unfortunate promotion to a pilot, and he also gives us BT. We help repair BT by finding these Titan juice boxes that are scattered around the environment, and after we've done that, our quest properly begins. It's a great, heartfelt quest with a lot of emotion, badass Titan fights, amazing set pieces for you to jump and fight around, and some really interesting platforming using the jetpack and the double jumps. But I don't want to spoil anything, as the campaign is short but sweet. It doesn't outstay its welcome, and it's definitely something that you should experience for yourself. And now we get into the multiplayer, which has two main modes, one of which being the Horde Mode, where you fend off against waves of artificially intelligent robots and enemies that are coming to destroy you in a team of 4 or 5. But that's not really where I spent the majority of my time. I spent most of it in the generic sort of multiplayer side, with your team deathmatch and the like. Just as in the other big FPS games out there, you have your loadouts that you can change. And as this game was the precursor to Apex Legends, you might recognize most of the weapons in this game. But unlike Apex Legends, the Mozambique is a Mozambeast. A lot of the weapons have the same feel, but are balanced completely differently. So if you are coming from Apex Legends to Titanfall, you might have some assumptions about the weapons, but I would advocate for you to give them all a try. You might like some that you didn't expect to. But Titanfall does some really, really cool things with its multiplayer that separates it from the other big names out there. Firstly, movement is king. You still have the same wall run and double jump abilities as in the campaign, but you also have a load of other abilities depending on which pilot you choose. You can have a grapple hook, which massively increases your mobility, and is my personal favourite. You can have clones, a massive speed boost, jumping in and out of a phase shift. And as I'm saying this, you Apex players might be noticing something. These sound a lot like the abilities for some of the champions in Apex Legends. Yeah, pretty much. This game was a massive inspiration for Apex Legends, even taking the icon from the main villains of the game. Another thing this game does is have grunts and minions, which are way easier to kill than other pilots and still give you progress towards winning the game. So if you're not so good at fighting the other players, but still want to have a way to contribute to what's going on around you, killing the enemy grunts is a way that helps you do that. It empowers the less skilled players, but still encourages you to go out and try and kill the other enemy pilots. It does this by having the grunts give you significantly less progress towards winning than killing the enemy pilots. And now, the big difference between Titanfall and its competitors. The Titans. Yes, you can call down your super powerful mechs in the middle of your team deathmatch. You get just as much choice in your Titan as you do in your pilot, each of these Titans having their own unique weapon and abilities. Getting your Titan feels great, the giant mech falling out of the sky, landing and shaking the ground around you. It's a massive turning point in the gameplay. You lose a lot of your mobility as a pilot, but your offensive output becomes phenomenal, taking out grunts and enemy pilots just as easily as one another. It is great fun in all aspects of the gameplay. Until this game was released on Steam a while ago, the multiplayer was kinda quiet. But now, with it being on one of the biggest digital distribution platforms out there, the multiplayer has kinda boomed again. You're able to find a game very easily at pretty much every hour of the day. And this is a game that's 4 years old. Still being able to achieve a solid player base 4 years down the line is pretty significant. So, overall, should you play Titanfall 2? The story and campaign is definitely something that most people will enjoy, but the multiplayer is the biggest draw. And if everything that I have mentioned so far sounds at least a little bit interesting, or you're from Apex Legends and feel like you want a bit more mobility and the ability to die more than once and not have to wait for a minute to play again, definitely give Titanfall 2 at least a try. And that's it for this video. If you've liked everything that you've seen, then don't forget to give this video a like. And if you want to see more stuff like this has been helpful to you, well, there's a subscribe button down there, and I'm sure you know what to do with it. So until next time, did you know I'm English? Cheerio.